everybody, Y here with the WIP. I am still working on this custom canvas. I'm going to try to turn you so you can see I don't have a whole lot left. Just of this side, that is. I'm only going to do half of it, and then I'm going to put it away as my WIP so that I can get out my Christmas one and start working on it, because I have two Christmas ones that I'd like to do this holiday season, specifically in November. But today is also the final group of Get to Know Why questions. So let's get to it. I also had the Zoom on in the background. Nobody's on there at the moment. There were 4 of us on this morning until, I don't know, 12:30 or so. And then we all had things that we had to do. So as of the recording of this video, it is Monday, the 16th of October, and I'm so excited because my daughter is coming to stay with me this week. So I will be working solely from home because Stephanie will be here. We're going to move my craft room into another room, and so I have a little more space and a little more window. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I started moving some stuff this morning, but you know, I can't do a whole lot. I can't lift anything heavy. I just can't do a whole lot. So all I did was move a little shelf that I had in the old craft room, or in the old guest room, and I moved it downstairs to the new guest room, and also swapped the Fire TV sticks and that kind of stuff, because I want my original Fire stick in my room and the one that was in the spare room to be down in the spare room. So the upstairs spare room will not have a television. I am thinking that it probably won't be used as much as the downstairs one, because the downstairs one is right off of the den, and it is right next to a bathroom, and you're not bothering anybody walking on the creaky wooden floor upstairs. So that's what my thought process is. So I may have Stephanie and hubby swap the mattress sets that are on the beds, because the newer one is on the one upstairs. So I don't know what we'll do yet, but I'm very, very excited to have my daughter here. We're going to do some food touring this week. For those of you who don't know what food touring is, first of all, I am in the process of having weight loss surgery. My last appointment before surgery is Tuesday, and my daughter will be able to go with me to that appointment. And then surgery is the 12th of December. So food touring is when you go and have all the things that you know you're not going to be able to have later. So you're like touring through whatever foods were your comfort foods, or things that you're just not going to be able to have post-surgery or for a very long time. So either ever or for a very long time. So tonight we are going to this little country gas station store restaurant. I know that sounds really funky, but they have the best fried chicken and mac and cheese on the planet. So we are going to go have mac and cheese and fried chicken tonight, which is something I probably will never be able to eat again. And we are going tomorrow night, we are going to go to the Irish pub and have fish and chips. Fish I will be able to have again. Chips we're not so sure about. So we're going to go eat fish and chips tomorrow night. Wednesday, hubby has to stay late. Well, he doesn't have to. He was invited to a retirement party for the top dog at his office. And so he is going to stay late that night and enjoy the farewell celebrations. And so my daughter and I are going to cook something I haven't had in years, and that's cube steak. I bought it the other day. I put it in the freezer. We'll pull it out on Tuesday, and we're going to make something with cube steak. Those of you who don't know, my husband and I gave up red meat in 2011 after watching a movie, Forks Over Knives, and I have since added red meat back into my diet in moderation. He, however, has not. So I save steak nights for when my daughter's here. So we've been, for the last couple of years, when she comes, we have steak. And that makes me very happy. So she's leaving on Thursday. So that is our plan for dinners for the rest of this week. Well, Thursday we'll be back to normal. Mike and I will both be home eating normal stuff. So, so that is the plan. So I had hoped to be a little more prepared, the house-wise, for when Stephanie and her little doggies, well, she has a little doggie and a big doggie, but the doggies are coming too. We've been trying to psych Benson up because he's going to have a friend, and he knows the big dog and has played with the big dog before. So we're hoping that he'll remember her and they will pick up where they left off and just play and play and play. So I had really hoped to have the house a little more prepared for moving these bedrooms and moving my craft room, but that did not happen. So for the time being, it's still an absolute disaster. I don't know how far we'll get. If we can get the tables, the big stuff moved, the tables, the shelves, those kinds of things. I can do the little stuff over time in my room, in my time. So we'll see what happens. But I also talked to my youngest daughter today. She is in New York. Not New York City by any stretch of the imagination. She is a hop, skip, and a jump from Canada. And her birthday's coming up, and I wanted to go see her. So we picked a date that won't work. I am so bummed because I think it was going to work for both of us, and it's not going to work for me now. I completely forgot about Marathon Weekend here in our VA. And my husband is running. I can't leave and let him run by himself. So he needs somebody cheering him on at the finish line, and that will be me. So that being said, that won't work either. So I'll have to get a hold of her later on today and let her know that I'll have to pick a different weekend. I was going to fly up to Syracuse and have her pick me up at the airport and hang out with her for the weekend, just kind of have some fun, go to a pierogi restaurant. Yes, a pierogi restaurant. People, I'm so excited. Anyways, we'll have to see what happens. I don't want to be up there in the snow, and it could snow as early as Thanksgiving, but I do need to go up there pre-surgery because I don't know how long it will take me to feel good enough to go post-surgery. So there's that. But anyways, I have one last group of curated questions, and then all of the questions will be over with. If you want to ask me any questions, feel free to ask me questions in the comments. I will read every comment and I will respond if you leave me a question. Since this was Get to Know Why from TheBurgsrun, leaving me a question would be not out of the ordinary. So anyways, let's get back to this last. This will be part 10. Yes, I'm aware that part 7 is non-existent. I evidently forgot how to count when I labeled these. And there is no part 7. We go right from 6 to 8, 9, and 10. So here we go. First question for today. What's the cringiest Halloween costume you've ever worn? Well, that depends on your definition of cringy. Are you talking about risque or sexy or scary? Or I want to say the best costume I've ever had was the costume I had on at Disney last month, and that was I dressed as Ursula. I wore the costume, and I had purple on, purple makeup, everything. I'll put a picture of it right here in the comments. Oops, I meant I'll put a picture right here in the video. So anyways, that was me as Ursula, and I have to say that was probably the best, most thought out costume I've ever had. The shell that I'm wearing around my neck also sings the Ariel's voice. It was just fabulous. I absolutely had a blast playing Ursula. The only problem that I had with playing Ursula was that I was in a scooter because I'm just unable to walk any real distance or stand for long, especially on concrete. So I was in a scooter, and you really couldn't see the costume all that well, but you could tell who I was because I was all purple. What's your stance on pets with human names? Well, my pet has a human name. I would say Benson is a human name. My dog before this one also had a human name. That was Benny. The one before that was Libby. The one before that was Bo. The one before that was Max. And the one before that was China. So, yeah, I'm okay with them having human names as long as the human names fit the dog. If you were a professional baseball player, what would your walk-up song be? Oh, my walk-up song if I was a baseball player would be Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me. I think it's my all-time favorite song ever. And it is the one that everybody sings. So I think that's what I would use as my walk-up song. I don't know if it's appropriate, and I don't know if the MLB would allow it, but yeah, that would definitely be my walk-up song. All right. Do you have any public transportation horror stories? I do not. I've had really good luck with cabs and Uber and everything, but I can tell you that when I was growing up, the city bus was how you got everywhere. And we actually had a service called Dial Ride that would come and pick you up at your house and take you to the nearest bus stop. And it was a quarter. It was just a quarter. Yeah, I'm old, people. But we took the bus everywhere we wanted to go. If we wanted to go to the public library, if we wanted to go to the mall, if we wanted to go anywhere, we just hopped on the bus. Everybody rode the bus. So fast forward, a bunch of years, a couple decades, maybe more. And my children saw the bus going by our neighborhood, and they were like, where does that bus go? That doesn't look like a school bus. And so I told them that when I was a kid, we would take the bus everywhere. So they were like, oh, I want to take the bus. So I was like, oh, that would be fun. We can take the bus up to the mall and have some fun at the mall, and then have M come pick us up. Well, we waited and we waited and we waited and we waited and we waited. And come to find out, the bus didn't come by our neighborhood on Saturdays. Imagine the disappointment in my children. So I had to go and get a bus schedule so that next time we could do it on the weekday, the next time that they were out of school and available and that kind of stuff. So I did get to take my kids on the bus finally. We just went up to the mall, which was right up the street. Spent some time at the mall, and then Em came and picked us up, and we came home. So that's probably my horror story. My horror story of being the bus didn't come. And it didn't come, and it didn't come. Come to find out, we were waiting for a bus that wasn't coming. Anyways, if you became invisible for a day, what would you do? If I could be invisible for a day, invisible is not the superpower I'd like to have. So there's nobody I want to spy on. There's nothing that I want to do. Oh, I know. I would go and be in the woods, and I would be able to tell you if a tree fell in the woods, does it make any noise? That's about the best I can do, people, because there's just no spying. My kids are really honest and open, and we just don't keep secrets. So there's nobody I'd want to spy on. There's nothing I'd want to sneak into. None of that. None of that. So, because being invisible doesn't mean you're not still a mass. Meaning, if it were to like sneak in somewhere, you could maybe sneak in, but you'd still have to have a place to sit and whatnot. So, yeah, I just don't have a need to be invisible. I'm sure that there are some people that would like to know what their kids are doing or what they're, oh, maybe just once I'd like to know what my dog does when we're not home. That would be fun. But that's, that would be about the extent of it. If you could switch bodies with someone, Freaky Friday style, who would you pick? If I could switch bodies with some, you know what? If I could switch bodies with anybody, it would be my husband. And here's why. Because I have health issues that he can't wrap his head around because he doesn't have them. First, he's never had a migraine headache, which is a good thing, that he's never had a migraine headache, but he's never had one. So he doesn't understand my need for him to not be near me when I have a migraine headache. If he knew what that felt like, then he would better understand, because he just wants to help me feel better, but in the process makes me feel worse. And I mean, I love him for wanting to help me, I do, but I need him to understand that I need silence and pitch black, and don't come and lay on the bed with me and turn on the TV. Like he tries so hard, but it just doesn't work. So yeah, I would trade places with my husband, and only for that reason. Because I don't want to be a boy. I don't want to know what boys think. I don't even want to go there. But it would be so that he could better understand my health conditions, beginning with migraine headaches, and then moving on to all the rest of them. So, back in the day, were you Team Edward or Team Jacob? I was neither. I didn't watch any of those vampire shows. I don't know anything about them. I don't like scary. I don't like suspenseful. Therefore, I don't like vampires. Plain and simple. Never watched it. Told you, I'm boring sometimes. Just super, super boring. But I did know that one was about vampires. If your dog could talk, what's the first thing it would say? All right. If my dog could talk, the first thing he would say is, I want one of them dreamy bones. That's his favorite thing on earth. And he wants them all the time, and he can only have one a day. And he gets up in the morning and he stands in front of the treat cupboard waiting, because that's what he wants all the time. He would totally tell us to give him more dreamy bones, because that's what they're called, dreamy bones. What would you describe, how would you describe the internet in one sentence? The world at your fingertips. You can find absolutely anything on the internet. The world at your fingertips. Most definitely. What's the funniest way you can think of to answer the question, how's it going? The funniest way that you can think of. Okay, so let me also put this in here. I have not read these questions before today. I took this list of questions and I just broke it down into a group of 9 questions and printed them out. So I have not read these. So what's the funniest way that you can think of to answer the question, how's it going? I'm not funny, people. I'm not funny off the cuff. I could never be a comedian. So I can't think of a funny way to answer that. But people ask that all the time. How's it going? I should come up with a funny way to answer people. But I am just, I'm not funny and I can't think of things off the cuff. But I have a brother and a son who are total smart butts. They can just think of stuff right off the cuff. Me, I say something and then 20 minutes later I'm like, oh, what I should have said is, because I just can't think like that. My son would be an amazing comedian. He's hilarious. But he is hilarious in that he could have been called the class clown when he was younger. He hides his emotions behind humor. So it's not always a good thing that people are funny. He's hilarious and he makes me laugh all the time. I love him for that. I absolutely love him for that. What I don't love is that he hides his true emotions behind humor. And so I know him well enough that I know when he's hurting or when he's sad or when something is bothering him, but most people don't, and they just see him as funny. My brother, on the other hand, uses me as the brunt of his jokes, and I don't find that funny. Of course, his friends find that hilarious because to them it's funny, but to me, he's been doing this to me my whole life. You'd think that I would by now have some smart alecky comments to come back with, and I just don't. It's just not in my DNA to be a smart ass. But it is in my brothers and my sons. They are just quick-witted, funny guys. What's your go-to? Rock, paper, or scissors? Oh, hang on a second. Sorry about that. That was the weight loss surgery clinic calling to confirm my appointment for tomorrow morning. It's my last appointment before surgery. Okay, so the question that I posed before my phone rang was, what is your go-to? Rock, paper, or scissors? I am a paper queen. I'm a scrapbooker, so I have tons and tons of paper. I always rely on paper. I don't always win because if somebody picks scissors, but it is not rock. So it would be paper. And I don't usually have a reason to do rock, paper, scissors, but it's part of the question group. All right. Is a charcuterie board considered to be a meal? You can, oh my goodness, we love a good charcuterie. When my daughter was here this summer, we made them all the time and took them out on the back patio and had fancy drinks and charcuterie and played games and had fire pit, and we just loved it. We love a good charcuterie. That being said, depending on what you put on your charcuterie or who you are sharing it with, it can be either a meal or an appetizer or a snack. So we quite often will make them around lunchtime when we're going to grill out, and we take it outside with us. We also have chips and salsa, and we will have some drinks and sit out on the patio and munch on, instead of making lunch, munch on charcuterie that has cheese and breads and crackers and meats and fruit like grapes and vegetables, veggies and dip. So we make, if we make a huge charcuterie with all the meats, cheeses, and everything, then then it would be a meal, like a lunch. Now, if you just had a little bit of cheese and a couple of things of meat and some grapes, that would be like an appetizer or a snack. But we always make them huge charcuteries that take the place of lunch. Would you rather be smart or sexy? Can't you be both? I'd rather be smart. I'd rather somebody love me for me, because one day the sexy isn't going to be there anymore. And you want somebody who's still going to love you. Somebody who's not going to go looking for sexy. Sexy doesn't get you far in a career most of the time. Smarts do. So I would much rather be smart than sexy in my book. I'd rather have a smart man that's devoted than a sexy man who's got wandering eyes. Yeah, definitely smart. You ever see the movie Revenge of the Nerds? Yeah, I go for the smart guy. All right. Would you rather be an actor or an influencer, and why? Well, actors make a lot of money. Influencers they could make money or they could not make money. I mean, look at the Kardashians. Started out as influencers, and then they got their TV show, which, for the record, I've never watched one episode of. But they came from money to start with. But I think by being on YouTube, that kind of answers that question. I'm not an influencer for any brand of any kind, but by being here on YouTube with my channel is the same as being an influencer. I have not been asked to promote anything. Come on, people, I'm old. I have to keep reminding everybody I'm old. People don't want some old lady promoting their whatever. So I don't think that either one of them are in the cards for me, but I never aspired to be an actress ever in my life. So I would say an influencer. I would definitely be an influencer over an actor. If you had 1 hour to prepare a stand-up comedy bit, could you do it? Oh, heavens no. Absolutely not. We kind of just talked about that in the in the smart alecky question. Absolutely not. I would bomb. People would be throwing tomatoes at me. No, that it wouldn't happen. Not in this lifetime, people. 29, 30, 31. Who was the best or worst celebrity you've ever met? People have met celebrities? Really? I've never met a celebrity. Now, there are celebrities I'd like to meet. Sheriff Mark Lamb, Rob Lowe, Sam Elliott, Judi Dench, Angela Lansbury. To date, I have not met a single celebrity. I don't know. I remember maybe back in the day, I was just a teenager, or maybe not even a teenager yet. We met the local news anchor in Detroit. His name was Bill Bonds. Does that count? My dad, we were in a fancy Chinese restaurant, and my dad went over with a napkin and asked for his autograph. Yeah. That's about as close to celebrity as I have ever gotten. Is ketchup good or gross? Oh, that's so funny that question would be on here, because y'all know how I feel about ketchup. Ketchup is the grossest thing on the planet. It is nasty, nasty, nasty. It doesn't even deserve a spot in my refrigerator, except that M likes it. He teases me all the time. You want ketchup with that? Yeah, no, ketchup is the nastiest. That's so funny that question would come up, because I've talked about not liking ketchup during this Get to Know Why series. So, yeah, no ketchup for me. Hold the ketchup. Okay. Is The Office actually funny? Well, it depends. It depends on which version of The Office you're talking about. The British version of The Office was quite funny. We really enjoyed watching it. When the American version came out, we were not so happy with it. So I'm not a Steve Carell fan, so I would say no. The American version is not funny. The British version is hilarious. What's the worst place you've ever gotten lost? On vacation, on a road with no service, etc. Well, I can't say that I've had a worse place of getting lost. Probably in downtown Detroit at nighttime. But before GPS and cell phones and all that good stuff, my daughter and I, when we were poor, used to just get in the car and take our cassette tapes with us and just drive. We would drive and drive and drive until we got lost, and then we would drive until we found our way back home. So that's what we did when we first moved to North Carolina. I didn't have a job and we didn't have anything to do. We were bored, so we'd just get in the car and drive. Well, a couple of things happened is you learn your way around, and you get to spend some quality time with your kid. So to me, driving around with the ambitions of getting lost was a thing. This is how I bonded with my 12-year-old daughter back in the day, before cell phones, before we still had payphones. Yeah, before GPS, before all that good stuff. But yeah, that used to be a thing. We used to love to just get in the car and drive, and you get lost. And you find some really cool things, and you can, we took our camera and we'd take pictures and we'd do all these, it was just just Stephanie and I. That's what we did. We'd sing at the top of our lungs. Probably Garth Brooks was what we were singing, because that was my Garth Brooks days, or Richard Marx. Yeah, those were some fun times. Nowadays, everybody pulls out their phone and they just get directions, and they don't know how to get anywhere without their phone. My husband, he used his GPS to get to work every day for 8 years. You would think in that amount of time he would have figured it out, right? Nope. He used the GPS every time. Okay. Which is cuter? Babies dressed as animals or animals dressed as humans? Oh, it's got to be babies. It's got to be babies. I am not a fan of putting animals in costumes. I'm not a fan of animals in clothing. They have fur for a reason. God gave them fur so they would not be cold outside. I tease my daughters all the time because they put their dogs in clothes, and I'm like, dogs were not meant to have clothes. They just weren't. I'm sorry, people. They just weren't. So, that being said, you won't see Benson in clothes. All right, what's the word or phrase you learned you've been saying wrong all your life? What's a word or phrase that you've been saying wrong your whole life? I don't have one. Probably the Polish saying my dad always said to us, and it's probably wrong. Słuchałem, a mnie brzuchem. And he said it basically means listen with your eyes and not your stomach. In other words, pay attention. So he shortened it because we knew what he was talking about. And when he would need us to pay attention, he would just say, Słuchałem. And we knew. But it's probably not correct. So if there's anybody who speaks Polish out there who can tell me if I'm right or wrong about that. But yeah, that's something that stayed in my memory banks all these years. Słuchałem, a mnie brzuchem. All right. Would you rather get a bad haircut or a bad dye job? Wow. I would, wow, that's a tough one, people, because it takes a while for your hair to grow back. I think I would rather get a bad dye job because you can always re-dye your hair, but that doesn't mean that it would work out. But yeah, you could always re-dye your hair. Bad haircut, yes, it's going to grow back, but takes a little while for it to grow back, and you could re-dye your hair right now, which I've done, by the way. I don't dye my hair anymore. I am embracing the gray. I'm embracing the old. You know, you're gonna get old. Why fight it? So I would have to say a bad dye job. What's the most amount of, oh, hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. I had a phone call and then another phone call, and so I kind of left you for a little bit there, but I am back. I am almost finished with this section on my canvas, and we have 2 questions left. So I left you with the beginning of, what's the most amount of pizza slices you've ever eaten in one setting? I have to say, pizza. I like pizza, but I am not huge pizza person. But I would have to say 4 slices is the most I've ever eaten in one sitting. So tell me, what is your favorite kind of pizza, and how many slices, what is the most amount of slices you've ever eaten in one sitting? And leave me an emoji of a pizza slice in the comments if you are still here listening to this video. And the last question, what's one non-traditional phone app you can't live without? Non-traditional. So I guess YouTube doesn't qualify there. Non-traditional. Let me see what I have in my phone. So let's go. Non-traditional phone app that I couldn't live without. You know, I would have to go with the Disney World one because I use it all the time, even when I'm not at Disney. Yeah, I would go with that one. So that is my list of questions. That is all of the pages of questions. And that is all. The series is over. Thanks so much if you hung out with me through the whole series. Thanks even more if you commented with the comments that I asked you to comment on. I so appreciate every one of you so much. If you are new to the channel and this was your first video of mine that you've seen, if you want to know more about me, you can go back and watch the rest of this series. It is series 1 through 10 with 7 being missing. Somehow I forgot how to count when I was putting it together. And there is no number 7. So if you're looking for it, I am so sorry. There is no number 7. But anyways, I hope that you'll want to stick around for more content. We are the Shenanigans of the Empty Nesters. We are the TheBurgsrun. I am Y. My husband is M. And I hope to see you on another adventure. Have a fab day.